Thank you for listening to today's episode. Before we jump in, I wanted to tell you about a new exciting program POC is launching for you. Between now and the end of 2022, this program is free because we want to beta test it. This program is going to be a bi-weekly meeting for 1 hour each time that we get together with a small group of other professional organizers so we can learn how to support one another and to help one another with ideas, all of the things that you need when you are an entrepreneur. So this is going to be a program with other women and other professional organizers that can come alongside of you, link arms with you, and get you to where you want to be in your business. So for those of you already listening to the podcast, you get to enjoy it for free at first and help build this program into what you need. So here's how it will work. We will have 3 tiers based on where you are on your entrepreneurial journey because we want to help surround you with other women that are in the same part of the journey you are. You will get accountability, ideas, and a designated time to work on your business bi-weekly. So the 3 tiers are getting started. This is for you if you are still in the idea phase of your business up to the launching of your business. Then the second tier is growth. This is for you if you are in the first year or 2 of your business and are still growing it. Then tier 3 is seasoned, which is for you if you have at least a year or more as a professional organizer and are maybe looking for ways to keep going, but you've been doing this for a while. So if you are interested and you believe that support equals success, then click the link in the show notes or go to proorganizerscoach.com and click the Support Equals Success tab to sign up. We are going to keep these groups small so you can really get the help on your business that you need. So go now and sign up so you don't miss out on what is going to be an amazing program and what I wish I would have had when I was getting started. So now let's get on with today's show. You are listening to the Pro Organizers Coach podcast. I'm Samantha Brown, a professional organizer and business coach. In this podcast, you will learn how to start and scale the organizing business of your dreams. So let's jump in. All right. So welcome back to the Pro Organizers Coach podcast. Today I have Heather. She is the owner of the Tidiness Project. She is on TikTok and does funny little videos, and she's on Instagram and Facebook, and across the board, it's the Tidiness Project. But she has been organizing for a little over a year. Today, we wanted to talk about being a specialist for clients with chronic disorganization. So not necessarily a hoarding specialist. That's what we're going to be talking about today. And so, hi, Heather. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me. I'm so happy to be here.
So tell us a little bit about yourself, like previous to becoming an organizer, and just kind of how that came about for you.
Yeah. So I would say my entire life, I've always kind of had like an organizing gene. I would, babysit. And when the kids would go to sleep, I would like reorganize like the pantry and the refrigerator for the parents and stuff. And, I bought my first label maker when I was like in 5th grade. So it's always kind of been like a niche. But it's not something that, in the like 90s when I was in school, that was ever like a career option. They never told you like this was a thing you could do. So I went to college. I got a 4-year degree in elementary education and used it for just a little bit before my kids were born. Just kind of worked part-time office jobs, not really knowing if there was a need for it in my community yet. It just like couldn't stop thinking about it. And people would say, you should come over to my house and do this. Or if I was like sorting papers in the office, they'd be like, oh, that just looks like the worst job ever. And I'm like, this is the best day. So, I finally, the like support of my family was huge. The more I talked about it and couldn't stop thinking about it, they're like, just do it. Don't worry about that is kind of how. And then I just went full throttle about a little over a year ago. So
yeah, congrats on hitting your 1-year mark. That's a pivotal point in your business where you've at least gotten you've gotten your flow, you've gotten some clients in, like you've realized what your process is for each client, and you're getting, confidence in what you do. And so, yeah, I think that's a really great place to be because you no longer have the crazy stressors of like building the website and figuring out your brand colors and, all of that stuff that seems to be a daunting task at the very beginning.
Yeah. Where you just want to I just want to get in houses and do it. And there's so much to do before you can even do that. So,
So how did you decide that you wanted to specialize in clients with chronic disorganization?
it just kind of happened. Like when I started not knowing what type of need there would be in my community for it, I just put myself out there to do anything. The very first house that I had, walked in, it was packed to the gills and the homeowner was feeling bad. She can't have anybody over to her house. She wants to do it, but she just can't do it on her own. And immediately I'm like, this is going to be it. I just felt like that's where I could be the most of use. So once I started doing that, that person tells their friends and it just kind of spreads. And that's kind of just like what I've become. And I love it.
Yeah. And I mean, that's awesome. So when you're doing your marketing and stuff, is it specifically towards chronic disorganization? Or do you still tell people like I'm a professional organizer, but I specialize in chronic disorganization? Or how does that work?
Yeah, I still do market myself just as a professional organizer. I will do anything, but the feel goodness comes from the chronic organization, less of the making it look beautiful and more of the getting dirty and making it happen for them. So
yeah, I feel like I'm kind of that way too. I'm probably like 75% chronic disorganization and 25% maybe like the pretty stuff where, like my before and after photos are literally like you can't see the floor, you can't see anything on any shelf or anything. And then the after photo is like you can see the floor and you can see the things that should be in the room for the most part.
Yeah.
And sometimes I don't even end up with good before and after photos because we've not made enough progress for it to even really be an after photo.
Yeah. Yeah.
But the client's happy. And so that's what matters.
That's right. Yeah. And I actually just kind of across the board, I don't use before and afters on my social media just because the clients I work with, I mean, it's such a big stress and it's so big of a deal for them to have me into their home. It just makes me uncomfortable taking photos. And then, the after looks so different for everybody. Someone might look at a before and they'll have this beautiful, shiny, thought in their head of what it would look like. And then it doesn't look like that. So, but for the client, they're totally happy with it. Yeah. I just kind of, unless they do it themselves, I have a few clients who happily will before and afters and Heather came to my house and look at this. I've got a few of those fantastic clients that do it on their own, but otherwise I just try not to. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, and for me, I always ask them, I'm like, look, if you're uncomfortable, I will not do this, but I also make sure to let them know, you could be Joe Blow from Timbuktu. I never put names or anything that's going to let anyone know what the home is. Where, some people on social media, when it's just like a pantry, you can put their name and tag them. And I never do any of that. It's literally just the before and after photo and it can be anyone.
I do take pictures for them to see. So I always say, I'm just going to take pictures. I'm not using them for anything. They're just kind of for us to refer back to. So
yeah, well, I was actually talking about that with on the podcast the other day as kind of a tip where with a lot of my clients, I take the before photo. And then once we're done, while we're standing there, and the session's, coming to a close, I pull the before photos back up.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because people forget what it looked like before we got started. And there's something about in our brain that you can see it on a photo, but you couldn't see it while you were living in it.
Yeah.
And so a lot of times I think that just helps with that extra wow factor and helps them feel good of oh my gosh, look how much we did get done today. And the point in all of this, especially with me talking to all of the different organizers and stuff anyways, is to show everyone out there that this really is a business you can make your own. It's not like being a plumber where every single job is something to do with plumbing, right?
Right.
It is so different. It's so across the board. Some people end up doing half cleaning, half organizing. Some of, like everyone's got their thing. That's the beauty of this industry is you can make it your own. And, and you can love to go to work every day. Like who would have thought you can actually have a job that you love to go to work every day?
Yeah. And you can make it that way. If there are types of jobs that, I'll kind of try any type of job once and I do it. And sometimes I'm like, okay, well, that like wasn't my favorite. So I probably wouldn't like take on a job like that again. But but that's the good part. You can kind of try everything once and see kind of what sticks, what you like. So
yeah. I recently got the brilliant idea that I was going to try to do real estate cleanings. So the deep clean in between the homeowners.
Okay.
Which seemed like the best job at, like, oh, nobody will be there. It'll just be a deep clean of the home. Like it sounded like a lot of money. And when I tell you, like, when the furniture and stuff's in there and you do the walkthrough, you're like, oh yeah, I could do this in a few hours. No problem. And then all the furniture goes out of there and they've lived there 20 years. And you're like, okay.
Oh, gross.
And so I think I did 2 of those and then I stopped. I was like, I'm good. Like, I'll just move on. But for somebody else, that may be exactly, they may love that kind of stuff.
That may be perfect. And there's kind of a market for anything. I think once you find your niche and you're marketing yourself that way and people come to know you as the person who does that.
Yes. Your process, because everyone's process is different as a professional organizer. So is your process more of like packages? Do you do like per session? Do you do per hour? How is your business set up?
So I kind of have whittled it down to like a 4-hour package or an 8-hour package. It seems like, one room or one area can be done in like 4 hours, but 8 hours is a full day. We'll get a lot done in 8 hours. So I kind of just stick to those 2 packages. I also do a consultation in home before I go over there, a week or 2 before. I don't charge for that. It just allows me to meet the homeowner. I can kind of see the areas that they're having trouble with and maybe make some notes and come back with a plan. So when I'm like on the clock, we're ready to go. So that's just kind of, I've tweaked it, a little bit over the last year, but I've just kind of like stuck with those 2 and it's worked out. So
yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, most people don't do it like that. I've realized most people either charge hourly or they have these big packages. And for me, where I live, I've realized that a 3-hour session works for me. I can get a room done in the 3 hours. And so I've gotten to where I just sell per session, like the price per session. This is how many hours I do. If I need to stay an extra hour or 2, it's just, an extra fee. Yeah. But for the most part, I can get it into a 3-hour session. And then if we need to book a second session, we'll do that because a lot of the clients I'm working with, it's more emotional than anything. And if I'm there too long, they can't handle it. Like they get to where, they need some time to process emotionally in between our sessions.
Yeah. Especially if it's something I'm working with consistently. I always leave a little bit of homework for them. The first time it kind of gauges like what they can handle on their own. Maybe it's just a stack of papers. Just go through these. Sometimes it's a box of like holiday decor from the basement or a box of pictures or something. But I always try to leave a little bit of homework, kind of keeps them invested in it. Yeah. And emotionally, when you get to, the 8-hour day, they really got to be ready to like, and be done with the stuff. Like, they are usually like, there's no messing around. Like they are ready for it. So
yeah. And one other thing that I saw that you do that I was, like, oh, I do that too. Which is awesome because most people don't, is haul the stuff away.
Oh gosh. Yes, I do. And it just makes, for so many reasons. It's, the burden of, it's easy to put stuff in a box and then, you drive around with it in your, trunk for a month or whatever before you drop it off at the donation center. Just having that burden gone when I leave, that everything, it's going to be wrapped up, it's going to be done and everything will be gone is huge. And it's, really not that big of a burden for me to take the stuff with. I come with boxes and everything that we could possibly need to get everything in order. And it's, I take carloads with me every time.
Me too.
On the spot, if they are like, I can take it with me now, or you can deal with it. They will always choose for it to go.
Yeah. In the area I live, the word declutter, like as long as I say the word that I help people declutter, because if I say I'm a professional organizer, they look at me like I'm like, what? You're a what?
Yeah. Yeah.
But if I say, oh, I help people declutter their homes, immediately their eyes sparkle and they're like, oh, I need that. I need to
Everybody.
declutter. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. And then whenever I finish my kind of little elevator pitch or spill by saying, and at the end, whatever we've gone through that day that you no longer want, I haul off for you. And then they're like, what?
Yeah. 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 And things that, they were maybe thinking about selling if they know you're taking it. And I don't just dump stuff at Goodwill. I mean, sometimes there's nothing wrong with Goodwill, but I do try to keep a tab on in my community, like the homeless shelters, women's shelters, the Salvation Army food pantry, just kind of things like that, where if they know it's going somewhere and going, like not going to go dump on the heap at Goodwill, it makes them like, yes, absolutely take it. So
yes,
it makes it makes a big difference for people.
And another thing I've realized on the whole like selling things is I can normally convince people if they feel like they have to try to sell it to give them a time frame. But I'm always like, okay, what do you believe a reasonable time frame would be of trying to sell it? And if it doesn't sell by then, you are promising yourself, then you will release it. And that's normally kind of a good medium of like, okay, because some things people are like, oh no, that's worth money. It's not going nowhere. I'm selling that thing. They're the client. So you have to be like,
you
okay.
have to do what they say. But yeah, I usually, I ask if you're going to sell it, where are you going to keep it until then? How long are you going to, what's your plan for getting it out? If it doesn't sell. And I do text them.
What is your process with the majority of your clients? Is it a one-on-one, like you're going through every little thing together? Is it, you kind of go through a pile and then like kind of hand it off to them, or does it differ with each client?
It kind of differs. I always work one-on-one. I have never worked without like the homeowner there. Usually just the two of us, or if it's a couple, the couple of us. It kind of just depends. I try to get them to start in areas where there's not going to be a lot of like emotional attachment to what they're getting rid of. So we never start with like sentimental stuff. So we start in like a kitchen, expired food is easy to get rid of, duplicate utensils, things that are broken or chipped. That's all easy to get rid of. A bathroom is another pretty easy spot to start. It's a cluttered bathroom. That's, if it's expired, it goes. It makes it pretty easy. Once we get going, I kind of do like a body double situation with them where we're kind of, working through the same type of things. I'm doing it. They're doing the same thing as well. Like maybe it's going through like boxes of magazines or like pictures or something. So we're like sorting stuff together. They're independently doing it, but I'm right there if they need anything. And it kind of teaches them how to do it on their own a little bit, kind of builds up the decluttering muscles. They can see like, they can do this. It's nice to have me there kind of as a backup, but it kind of gets them doing it themselves too.
Yeah. And so it's double purpose, which is really good for them because we want to have a job, but we also want our clients to learn how to do this for themselves.
Yep. I'm successful when you know how to do it. You can keep it that way. It's structured in a way that makes sense for you to upkeep and kind of not backslide. You kind of like see things in your home and you always see it there. So you think that's where it has to be. Just kind of having someone else come in and point out that, well, just because you don't like it, you don't have to keep it just because somebody gave it to you, or it's something that you might need someday. You're keeping all these like maybe cardboard boxes that you might need one day. So it just kind of helps to have someone come in to say, no, you don't need to do that. And usually that works pretty well.
Yeah. Helping them to become aware. We're kind of like you were just saying, like they're not aware of the state of the things they're living in, just like we live in our own homes. We don't notice the stuff in our own homes because we live in it every day. And so just having that extra set of eyes. And then there's also on the exact opposite end of these types of clients, they're the clients that you go in and do a consultation and you kind of give them some ideas and you are like, hey, you could do this and this, and you set up the session. I've literally had clients that I come back for the first session and 95% of what we talked about was already done.
Yeah, I've had that too.
And I'm like, Okay,
Well,
what? Right.
well, what are we going to do for 8 hours?
Yeah. Yeah.
I always tell them, don't do it. Don't do it without me. Don't do it without me.
Right. Well, and I heard some good advice when I was first getting started. And, you hear this advice and you want to take it, but when you're in a consultation and you start talking, sometimes you just forget like your good business advice. But it was always get excited about the fact that you could do this for them. Just don't tell them how you can do it for
that's
them.
hard. It's so hard to remember to do. I have to talk to myself all the time about that. And I'm like, I just need to like have enough knowledge that, okay, she can do it. Not, okay, now she gave me all the tips. Now I can do it myself.
Right.
That's hard.
Yeah. Well, and because we're there for free. And so for me, if I get at least one session, I feel like, okay, it was worth my time. All the things that I've done up until then, at least I got one session out of it.
Yeah. Yeah.
But the ones that and I'm just telling people this because you really you have to be aware of what you're saying when you're saying it because you are the authority. And so they're going to take what you say. And if you're like, oh, hey, this should be moved here and this should be moved there, and you give them all of your tips and tricks and details of what you would do, some of the clients are going to do it and then be like, okay, thanks.
Yeah. I am aware. I have not had anybody do it, and I'm like a chatterbox about it. So I can't believe, knock on wood. But
because the lady that I'm thinking of in particular that did that, her home was like immaculate. Like it was already organized.
Yeah.
The ones that are chronically disorganized, they aren't going to jump in and do it because they really do need the help emotionally and physically. And, and it's more about having support is what they need.
Yeah. Yep.
To even get started. But yeah, I mean, I think that it's amazing, like what you are doing. And, I'm super thankful with the Tidiness Project that you have actually put humor in there and made it a thing where, it can be more fun.
Yeah. I kind of lean on humor just in my life anyway. I try to, be positive and see the bright side, but it's just, I try to make it fun for them because it's painful for me to be there initially, I think. So there's like the shame of that. I tell them we're going to find stuff that will be crazy and we are going to laugh about it. And that's going to be like your story. That's, you've got a million rolls of paper towels we're going to find. I'm calling you the paper towel lady.
Right.
And so I try to make it fun. It's just stuff. It's serious to them, but it kind of hopefully lightens the mood a little bit where they can kind of loosen up and just,
Yeah. And I always turn on music. I'm like, all right, what do you listen to? Because we got to get some music going. Yeah. Because when it's silence or, like you're saying, it doesn't have to be so serious. And for a lot of people, that's why they haven't done it themselves is because they've made it such a big thing and so serious and like, oh, if it's not done perfect, I can't do it. Yeah. Where, and then we come in and we're like, make it fun, enjoy yourself. Like, let's do this thing. Let's make it a party.
Yeah. Yeah.
And yeah. So I think that with people being able to just share that message and to just go in with the mindset of, I want to help you. I want to lift you up. I want to bring joy into your life. We are blessing a lot more people than what we sometimes realize.
For sure. Yeah. And even, I just get a lot of people, friends who are every time they see me, oh, I thought of you the other day. I decluttered my closet, and I thought of you. So for me, it's not even just about, getting in and, doing the job and getting paid and helping people, but it's kind of like raising awareness for not living a disorganized life.
Yeah.
So even if I'm not like in there helping someone, every time they say I'm cleaning out my garage, I got a dumpster, or I thought of you when I cleaned out my closet, that goes a long way for me too. So
yeah, absolutely. The Tidiness Project on all the social medias. Yeah, Heather, I am so thankful that you are doing and helping all of these people that need to be helped in a different way than what you see all throughout, social media normally. That stuff's fantastic also, but so is this.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, bugs, mice, critters, dumpsters. I'll do it all. So
yeah. I went to a session the other day and the lady said, how come you wear black leggings every time you come to my house? I was like, well, because I don't know if I'm going to be like down on my knees or under beds or like, I don't know what I'm going to be doing. And then I came home later that day and I happened to look at my leggings and they were just covered in dog hair, dirt, like you name it. It was on
I am filthy. I mean, it's not glamorous. It's not, I'm glad it's not. I'm not a glamorous person, but when I started, I'm like, okay, it'd be all nice. I'm filthy every day.
Me and
I also just wear black leggings. So
Yep. I'm like, they'll go in the washer and I'll grab a new pair.
Yep, exactly.
It was so nice meeting you. Thank you for coming on this show.
Thank you so much.
You have been listening to the Pro Organizers Coach podcast. Go to the show notes to find all of the links mentioned in this episode and hit that subscribe and automatic download button so you don't miss a single thing. Thanks for listening.